Hey guys, what is going on? It is RC Knockout and I am back with another video. Now if you are new to the channel, my name is Nolan, and in today's video we have got another upgrade for the Traxxas Slash 4x4 Ultimate Basher build. This is the second upgrade. The first upgrade was the Traxxas Center differential. So it's the upgraded Traxxas Center diff that I believe comes out of the Traxxas Haas. It's part number 6780. That's what we installed in the first video. We did kind of a very loose test last time. One of the issues I was having in the previous video when I was trying to test center diff is one of these tires is coming unglued and the rim is cracked. Let's see. This one right here. It's hard to tell, but that wheel actually has multiple cracks in it and the tire's starting to come unglued. So I think there's a lot of water in there too, because I drove through a lot of water last video. So it was hard to tell how well the center diff was doing because the handling was kind of thrown off by the wheels and tires. So that kind of leads into what the upgrade is for today. We are going to be upgrading the tires. So I bought these right here, and from my experience, these are some of the best tires for bashing, especially if you want traction. These right here are the Proline Badlands MX short course tires. They're absolute rippers. This tread design, I'll get them out, but the tread design on these, it's kind of like motocross type tread. The tread blocks on this really dig into a lot of surfaces pretty darn well. Now we're going to be mounting them on these wheels right here. So these are actually some Traxxas wheels. They're stock Traxxas Slash 4x4 wheels. I wanted the black spokes with the silver beadlock ring. But it ended up taking quite a while to actually find somebody who had two pairs of these, because I obviously need them for the front and the rear. I think this came on the blue bodied ready to run, but that was from a few years ago. So now they've changed up everything with the Slash 4x4 and the Ultimate, where I don't think they have these wheels on any of the new vehicles, this exact wheel coloration. I have been able to find the black beadlock ring with the silver spokes, but I don't like that design. I prefer the black spokes with the silver beadlock. So took a while to find these. This is part number 5884. Also, if you're wondering why I decided to retain Traxxas wheels, it's because I run these GPM wheel hex claws. Let's see if you can see it. You might be able to see in there that blue wheel hex. When I take the wheels off, you'll be able to see pretty clearly, but these wheel hex claws are specially made for the Traxxas Slash 4x4 wheels. It only works with this design right here. So it basically wraps around the spokes and it prevents your wheel hex from spinning, which has been a very common problem with these 12mm hexes on the Traxxas Slash. So that's why I decided to retain these type of wheels, so I can retain using those wheel hex claws from GPM. Because otherwise I will be spinning hexes left and right, especially with the power this thing's going to have. Because this thing, the power system is going to be in a later video, but we are going to be running this thing on 4S, guys. We're going to have a 4S power system in this. It's going to be an absolute ripper. We're going to be mounting the Proline Badlands tires onto these wheels, but that's not the only upgrade we got for today, guys. If you watched that video, the previous video, I also broke the shock cap. I think it was one of the front ones. This one's barely on there. It actually, I think it stripped the threads. It damaged the threads definitely on the shock body. So the shock cap is barely screwed on. So we were having issues with the shock in the last video. There's no shock fluid in the shock at this point. So that leads into what the other upgrade is going to be, which is this right here. This right here is, let's see, what is it actually, the part number? Part number 7461. It's the GTR shocks. These are basically the shocks that come on the Traxxas Slash 4x4 Ultimate. So they're the big bore aluminum bodied shocks with the, what's that, nitrite coated shock shafts? Is it nitride? What is it? Tin shafts. But yeah, I got them in blue, so I got them for both the front and the rear. So the front ones are a little bit shorter, and these are the long shocks in blue. Now the one for the back are actually called the extra long shocks. And let's see, it's kind of covered up, but yeah, so this one's 7461. The long shocks for the rear are 7462. And these are the extra long ones. So read right there, XX long GTR shocks compared to the just long GTR shocks. And you can see the ones on the left are definitely longer. Those are the ones that go on the rear. I'm only going to be able to do half of this today because I'm still waiting on this kit right here that I bought. I want to say in total I got this for, I want to say it was like 85 bucks to get this. But the thing is, it comes with the shock fluid, but it does not come with the shock springs. So I had to buy shock springs separately, and I'm still waiting on one of the sets to come in the mail. I did finally get the one just today. That is part number 7444. These are going to be the GTR shocks, and you do have to get the GTR ones. They're the ones that are actually much larger diameter spring to fit around the large shock bodies of the GTR shocks, but these are going to be the ones for the front, the long GTR shock springs. And the rears I'm going to have to do in another video, or I'll probably just do it off camera because I'm still waiting on the rear shock springs. But we are going to be gluing the tires up and filling up at least the front shocks and putting the springs on in this video. And then in the next video, we're going to be testing those Badlands and testing out those shocks. I'm hoping it'll make a huge difference in performance. So let's go ahead and jump right in this installation. Alrighty guys, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to start off with the wheels and tires. I'll probably just glue up one or two of them on camera and do the rest off camera. Let's go ahead, let's break open the wheels, get a good closer look at these. And like I said, this is the design I prefer the most. I think it goes with the most bodies. Because I'm switching bodies on my RCs so much, this seems to be like one of the color combinations that fits with a lot of the colors. I know they have black ones that have the blue beadlock ring. That's only going to work well with a blue body. So I like these because even if I switch the body up, get a new body, it's still going to look good and match, basically. So got that there. And now for the tires, which I don't know if I ever said the part number for the tires. It is 10156-01. And these are from Proline, the Proline Badlands M2. So these are the medium compound, I guess. But let's go ahead, let's open this up. Oh, the smell of new tires. And just check those out. Like I was saying, let's see if the camera will kind of pick this up. Lighting's all right, I guess. You can probably see the tread blocks on this. They're very much like a motocross MX tire. These knobs really dig in, especially in like dirt and on grass. These dig in really well. So this should give us some crazy amounts of traction with these Proline Badlands tires. And to glue, I know I'm not the greatest at gluing, so this isn't really a how-to video. But I do have a better little gluing kit that I used, and the last time I used it, it actually worked a lot better because it has a little like nozzle that comes with it, so hopefully I won't slop all the glue all over the place. So this is from J Concepts right here. I also have another kit. This one I'll probably take the bands out and use the bands on these tires. That'll help keep the tire where basically the seal is perfect all the way around. It has them seated as if they're on the car, so it makes it much easier to glue them. I don't know if I explained that properly, but let's go ahead, let's get the glue out. One thing I'm going to do real quick off camera, I'm going to go ahead and use some isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to go ahead and clean off just the surface where we're going to be gluing, and I'll probably even do it on the tire, even though I don't know if you're supposed to. It probably dries out the rubber. It very well might dry out the rubber, but I want the tire to obviously adhere to the wheel when I glue it. So we'll use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on that as well. And then we're going to start gluing. So I'll be right back with you guys. So the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead. It already has the foam in here. We're going to just go ahead and install the rim. Just get that pushed in. And get the tire beaded in that little channel that it needs to be in. Alright, I think that's in the channel all the way around. And then make sure that it's underneath the beadlock ring on this side. Make sure it's completely in that channel. Alright, that looks good, doesn't it? And then we could also put this on it right here. So these, I think these are only the size for short course tires, so 2.2s. But this basically goes over the wheel, or over the tire, I should say. And it makes it easier to glue the tires because it keeps the tires seated right in that bead a little bit better, so you don't have to worry about when it's drying it coming out. So that's kind of the purpose of it. So the good thing about this glue kit right here from J Concepts is it comes with this little tube, so it makes it way easier to actually get the glue where it needs to go without making a mess. The only issue is I don't know if the glue in here has hardened or if it's still going to be good, and I also don't know how much glue's in here, but we will see. Go ahead, put this on, and hopefully it's not blocked up. Trying to see if the glue's going to come out. There we go, it finally went, and I already made a mess because it already made a mess, of course. I think this was partially blocked. Alright, let's just keep on going. Crap, it's coming out the top too. This is starting to make a mess, guys. What I might actually do is I might actually cut the top of this because I think there's some sort of blockage going on. So let's just snip the very top and hopefully that clears it up. Crap, nothing's coming out. I might just have to do it without this, which I didn't really want to do. So we're going to do it the messy way, I guess, because I know there's glue in here. Alright, doesn't look horrible. Ugh. I said that, I spoke too soon. I was saying it doesn't look horrible, but you can see how I definitely got some glue around the beadlock. Wasn't perfect. I might not show any more of the process of gluing just because I don't like gluing and I'm not very good at showing how to properly do it. My goal is just to have it so it adheres. That's really all I care about. But I wanted to try to do it without making a mess, but this is clearly clogged with glue, so I have to do it the messy way, I guess. But yeah, I'll resume video, guys, once I get to the point where I install the shocks. And I'm actually going to put the oil in the shocks and install the front shocks. And I'll also show the difference. That'll be a good opportunity to show the difference in size, especially the shock body, between the stock Ultra shocks and these GTR shocks. So yeah, I'll be right back with you guys. Alright, I got all that glued up, guys, all the wheels and tires. I'm just letting that dry, and while I let that dry, I'm going to go ahead and work on filling up the shocks with oil. Alrighty, guys, time to go ahead and open up these shocks. It does come with the shock oil, which I'm assuming is 30 weight, because 30 weight's typically what Traxxas puts in their vehicles. I don't know if it actually says on it. It just says silicone shock oil. I'm assuming it's 30 weight. Probably says somewhere. And here are the shocks right here, guys. Check them out. The big bore GTR shocks. Let's see what else is in here. Looks like, oh, these are the shock pedestals, so we have to put those on. So first things first, we need, I guess there is some sort of shock tool that I could be using. Aha, this is it right here. This came with my Traxxas Slash 4x4 Ultimate. Let's see, so one of these is to help get the cap off, I think. Okay, this one gets the cap off. Oops, that came off. And now we're just going to start filling it with oil, and I'm going to try not to make a mess. Help if I was in the frame a little bit better. Now with these shocks, guys, you want to fill them up probably just shy of the top. So you can see I have it, it's probably a couple millimeters shy of the top. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cycle the shock shaft, so push that piston up. So basically, so you make sure that you get all the oil throughout the whole shock body. And also you want to do that until there's no more bubbles, because you'll usually see bubbles in the shock fluid. I think we're pretty much there. It went down a little bit more after I did that, so we'll add a dab more. Alright, and it's just shy of the top, probably a millimeter or a couple millimeters shy of the top. We're going to go ahead, and the bladder's already seated in the shock cap. So we're just going to go ahead and screw the shock cap back on. I'll just do it by hand because I can basically get it all the way to the tightness it needs to be at, the shock cap. That's as tight as it needs to be. And let's see if we can push the shaft and it'll bottom out. Yep. So it's probably filled just about perfectly where the shaft will actually bottom out. Because if you have too much fluid in here, what will happen is the shock won't push all the way and it won't bottom out. So bottom out, so the shaft is basically all in the shock body. And that right there is as far as it can go. So now we can go ahead, and I bought these springs right here, part number 7444. They're pretty close. These might be the stock springs that come on the Ultimate. They're a pretty conservative spring rate. The striping on the end of the spring, that's what actually indicates what rate it is. So we're going to go ahead, slip the spring over the shock body, and then we got to get our pedestal out. And the thing I like about these pedestals is you can't lose them because they screw on. So basically goes like this, and then slide it down, line up with that hole. And as long as you put the screw through here, this can't come off. That's one of the annoying things about the Ultra Shocks, is that the pedestals can fall off sometimes, which is super, super annoying. Let's see, it goes through this side. This is the wrong one. I'm like, there's no way that's right. Okay, it's these little ones. These are the ones that go through the bottom. That makes a lot more sense. I'm like, that doesn't look like that's gonna fit. All right, put that through 2mm. Tighten that down real quick. All right. I got the GTR shocks mounted on the front, but just take a look at these big bore shocks. And just for comparison, these are the Ultra Shocks I took off, which it's hard to tell with the spring on, but I removed all of these preload clips. So then you can actually see the actual size of the shock body, which is only about the size of my finger. I don't know if you can see that. It's significantly smaller of a shock body and shock cap compared to what I just put on. Does that show up? Probably it's probably 1.5 times the size, and they're aluminum. I wish I had aluminum caps though. I did put them in the most upright position I could, so I put them at the highest point on the shock tower on the top, and I didn't put them on the highest, I guess. There's one more hole of adjustment right here, but I didn't want to go that far, so it's at the second highest, so they're pointed about as straight up as you'd want them. So for bashing, having the shocks more straight up is better, but for racing, it's better to have them more laid down, which is how I had them. This is also going to raise the ground clearance a little bit. And the other thing I want to show you guys is the wheels and tires. They didn't come out too bad, actually. I think they're dry at this point. They didn't come out too bad. A little bit of glue seeped out, but overall, actually, they don't look too bad. And this wheel hex claw, just as I suspected, in the last video when I was testing out the center diff, I was hearing some binding, and you can see the wheel hex claw, the back of it, has been grinding up against. It's been grinding up against the actual hub carrier. By the way, I also put aluminum hub carriers on. I think that's what amplified it. I put aluminum hub carriers on. These are the ones off my Traxxas Slash 4x4 Ultimate, but I kept the C-blocks off of the RPM C-blocks on. The reason I swapped them out is because the RPM ones were wallowed out, so the threads were stripped. So the shoulder screw that goes in the top and the bottom would keep on finding its way out, keep on loosening and finding its way out. So in the end, I decided to use some thread lock, put this on. But then after I did that, there's a significant amount of binding I heard, and sure enough, it's because it's aluminum against aluminum. Even though you can see I'm not going to be able to get another, I already have a shim or two, is that 1 or 2 shims back behind that pin. I can't get another one. There's no space to get another one. So the issue is I can't space it out any further. It sits right there on the pin, but the issue is the back of it's rubbing up against the actual aluminum carrier. It didn't bind nearly as bad when it was up against the plastic of the RPM, so it makes sense aluminum on aluminum. And you can see this only works with this pattern of wheel. Hard to get it lined up. There. You can see it presses in place. And then you do have the option where you can put like a grub pin through. Otherwise, you can just retain the stock pin. I choose to use the stock pin because the issue with the grub pin is, I swear, it makes it even push it even closer to the hub carrier. But yeah, that's why I like using these, because here's a typical wheel hex right here. These get rounded super easily, especially the plastic ones. You can see this one's actually fairly rounded already. So this one, if I went and I tried putting this on the rear of this car, well, I guess front also, since this is four-wheel drive, this would strip. This would end up stripping out either the wheel hex in the wheel, or this would just keep on spinning in there. That's what would happen, and I just can't stand that. Even aluminum ones, I've had issues with aluminum ones starting to spin. Here's an aluminum one that I was using, and this one, as you can see, the edges are rounded off. So it started to spin within the wheel hex of the wheel. So that's why these ones, as you can see, the claws go in between. Well, you could see the design of it when I had it off. The claws go about probably a quarter to a half an inch down in towards the spokes, which makes it more or less impossible. Like, I can't move that at all. It makes it impossible, basically, to tear up this wheel hex unless it tears through your entire wheel. You'd have to claw through all the spokes and destroy the wheel, which somebody probably could do that, but it would be very difficult to do. But that's the reason why I chose Traxxas Slash 4x4 wheels specifically. If you want to check these out, they are made by GPM. They're not super expensive. I want to say 10-15 bucks for two. And obviously I have them on all four corners on my Slash 4x4. But yeah, I think let's just slip them on and let's see. Just check that out. Those look awesome, don't they? I love the look of these tread pattern, especially when they're brand new, because they're just so meaty and so aggressive. I need to figure out something with that binding. Maybe get another set of RPM ones that aren't wallowed out of the steering carriers, because I still want to retain using the GPM wheel hexes. I could grind it down, maybe, the back of it. I could possibly. Maybe sand it down a little bit. That's a possibility. Alright guys, I'm back for a little update. I did end up sanding down the back of these with the hope that hopefully there won't be any binding, because the issue is it's rubbing right up against the aluminum of the steering carrier, which is a problem. And there's no more play in this. There's not enough play for me to get another shim back behind that to space it out any further. So I gotta take some off the back. But I don't want to take too much off because I still want it to cover up the pin completely, which hopefully it still will. But we'll just have to test it out, and you'll see this thing ripping in the next video. By the way, I ended up getting the rear shocks on. Got the springs in the mail, put those in the uppermost position. So this thing's going to have a pretty high stance, but that's probably best for bashing. Need to get all the new Proline Badlands mounted up, and then we're going to be good to rip. So anyway, thanks for watching. See you later.